1 week after the Colorado high school shootings, police now confirm the two shooters died by double suicide. And a community falls silent to remember all the dead. NATO revisits a key target in Belgrade. Serb forces lay waste to Kosovo. And Scotland Yard looks for clues to the murder of a television star.
This is the CBS Evening News, with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. There is new information tonight about how the two shooters themselves died in the Columbine High School massacre in Colorado. And there are these developments. Investigators again questioned a young woman who may have bought weapons used in the attack. President Clinton proposed the toughest new gun control laws in decades. This came as the bells tolled in Littleton 15 times for each of the dead, and the Denver area paused in silence to mark the exact moment of the massacre 1 week ago today. CBS's Bob McNamara begins our coverage from Littleton, Colorado.
As police SWAT teams closed in on Columbine High last week and students ran for their lives, police say Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold took their own lives, that it was not a murder-suicide as some experts suggest.
Everything is consistent with it being a double suicide. Each inflicted their own fatal wounds.
And while this Colorado Springs gun dealer said the Columbine killers may have been to his shop recently trying to buy a war weapon like this, investigators today said the dealer's surveillance video couldn't back up his story. In the meantime, CBS News has learned Robin Anderson, a friend of the two killers, purchased two shotguns used in the killing spree from a Denver gun show 5 months ago. Police say she has been cooperative and will be interviewed again. As all the door locks were changed on the high school where Columbine students will finish the year, there were more questions about why it seemed to take SWAT teams an agonizingly long time to enter the school and end the bloodbath before so many students died.
They also had bombs that they had to deal with. The sprinkler systems were going, ceiling tiles were falling, the alarms were screaming, the strobe lights were going. Basically all the worst things out of a horror movie. And in something like that, you cannot rush it.
Again today, there were student funerals. 3 more shooting victims remembered and laid to rest. And to mark the 1-week anniversary of this saddest of days here, the Denver area fell silent. The time marked the exact minute the nightmare began. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Littleton, Colorado.
Just before the bells began pealing across the country back here in the East, First Lady Hillary Clinton said the easy availability of guns for children is, quote, criminal. The First Lady was leadoff speaker as the President outlined new ideas for gun control. For more about that, we go to CBS News White House correspondent Scott Pelley. Scott.
Dan, today the president said fewer kids would die in school massacres and other shootings if there were stronger gun control laws. Today, he proposed the most far-reaching gun control legislation since the 1960s. In an emotional speech, Mr. Clinton said opposition to gun control is crazy.
This is about our responsibility to our children. This is about protecting our children and the vulnerable children themselves from people who are about to go over the line here. And this is crazy that we're living in a society that takes no reasonable steps to protect the larger community.
Mr. Clinton proposed 15 steps today, including establishing a nationwide purchasing limit of 1 handgun per month, raising the legal age for possessing a handgun from 18 to 21, requiring background checks to buy weapons at a gun show, and making adults criminally liable when a child gets hold of a gun. Opposition will be vigorous. Republican leaders suggested it's overkill.
There are some things that we can do in that area. But again, to do the typical knee-jerk reaction, oh goodness, we've had crime, and therefore what we need is gun control. That's what you get in Washington.
But the Clintons went further, saying America must redefine its culture.
When our culture romanticizes and glorifies violence on TV, in the movies, on the internet, the evidence is absolutely clear. Our children become desensitized to violence and lose their empathy for fellow human beings.
In his speech, the president attacked the powerful gun lobby on Capitol Hill. He said honest Americans who hunt and shoot should not be forced by gun activists to defend the indefensible. Dan?
Scott Pelley at the White House. Trying to prevent future shooting sprees is one thing. What happens after them is another, and increasingly predictable, as CBS's John Blackstone reports.
As America has become tragically familiar with high school shootings, the next step has become familiar too. After the funerals come the lawsuits.
You do that because you've been robbed of a son. You do that to institute public policy. To do nothing would be an insult to Isaiah.
Sam Riddle is helping the family of murdered Isaiah Shoals get through these difficult days. The family has already talked to a lawyer about suing the school district for dismissing complaints of violence and racism.
The school system right now and other elements in Colorado are definitely more accountable than some would want to believe.
At least one other family is already considering legal action too. But the head of Colorado's Trial Lawyers Association is warning against a rush to the courthouse.
It's not an easy thing to go through a lawsuit. These people are going to have to relive a very terrible event, and it's going to be traumatic for them.
And perhaps traumatic for the entire community, some residents say.
I think when you get down to it, it doesn't really help at all. It only extends your sorrow.
In Paducah, Kentucky, families of those killed in the high school shooting there are now suing the makers of violent movies and video games. In Littleton, the first target may be the community itself, the county, the sheriff's department, and the school for ignoring the warning signs. Victoria Buckley, Colorado's Secretary of State, says the desire to sue is understandable.
Not always do they want the money. It's the way that they feel that their voice can be heard. It's the way for them to address their fears, I guess, and for their angers.
For many of those who have lost so much here, the search for answers will almost inevitably lead to the courtroom. John Blackstone, CBS News, Littleton, Colorado.
The aftermath of Littleton doesn't stop at possible lawsuits. Keep in mind that the Colorado killings themselves are the latest and deadliest in a series of school shootings, and the fear of yet more copycats is having real consequences. CBS's Byron Pitts is tracking that part of the story.
Hallways were empty and every classroom closed in Columbine County, Alabama today because of one crank call.
And you know 99.9% of all these are hoax calls, but you never can never be sure of what you're dealing with.
School Superintendent Jan Farley admits he was afraid to guess wrong.
We all realize that no one is on an island anymore, and we're all susceptible to those things that occurred everywhere.
Even here?
Even here.
Today in Washington, D.C., 72,000 students were evacuated after a second bomb threat in 2 days. Caution in the nation's capital. Plain old fear in a suburban high school just north of Atlanta, where police found a pipe wrapped in tape inside a bathroom. Hours later, parents were relieved to find their children were safe.
You never know till you see a kid in person and you get to touch them, you know that they're okay.
Cadillac, Michigan had a bomb threat and a suspect. A student reportedly posted a threat on the internet, and police found gunpowder and fuses in his bedroom. Across the country, school administrators admit they are not equipped to do this drill every day. But most agree because of Littleton, Colorado, they have no other choice.
I'm wondering how many will come tomorrow. I hope they feel safe, but parents will do what parents do.
So no guarantees here tomorrow?
No. We have hope.
And several more weeks till summer. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Columbine County, Alabama.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, is high blood pressure a disability covered by job discrimination laws? The Supreme Court hears the case. Some signs the Serbs may be more inclined to return to the peace table. And the death of a legendary trumpeter.
Hey, Bob, I hear you got Prime Star Satellite TV.
Yeah, that's right. Equipment, warranty service, monthly program got all included.
Hey, my dish doesn't offer that.
Sports, movies with digital picture and sound.
My dish has that.
Yeah, but you had to sign a long-term contract. You got the wrong dish.
Sports, movies, and more. Now only $49 install. Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR or visit your local Radio Shack.
With locations in over 1,800 cities and towns, there's always a Days Inn hotel nearby. Wherever you're going, wherever you're from. Days Inn. There you go.
If you have arthritis pain that lasts all day, presenting Tylenol Arthritis Extended Relief. It lasts up to twice as long as regular aspirin without irritating your stomach. Tylenol Arthritis. Take comfort in our strength.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. You know, your home is your sanctuary. The one place you and your children should feel safe. But there can be dangers, too, and some of them are not so obvious. Improperly wired outlets that can electrocute. Water coolers that can burn, household cleaners that can kill, lead paint that can poison. To find out about them, call HUD.
For a free brochure on HUD's healthy homes and FHA loans, just call. HUD and FHA are on your side.
An International Red Cross doctor examined 3 American prisoners of war in Belgrade today. No official substantive public word about their condition, but a Red Cross official who saw them yesterday repeated they appeared healthy. The Red Cross said it was promised regular access to the prisoners. This came as NATO missiles again shook the Yugoslav capital. CBS's Richard Roth was less than a quarter of a mile from the target.
NATO said it was just finishing a job when a laser-guided bomb tore into an empty Belgrade office building this morning. First hit last week, the headquarters of Slobodan Milosevic's political party was engulfed in flames. But rooftop TV towers were left standing, and according to NATO, were still in use. No more. They were blown away by a blast that smashed windows and shattered nerves all over the neighborhood. But as the dust settled, there were signs the bombing may be changing the atmosphere.
There's something new in the air, and it's not just sunshine on a national holiday that's affecting the climate here. It's also politics.
The most liberal man in government, Vuk Draskovic, now claims Milosevic is ready to give in to a key NATO demand for peacekeeping troops in Kosovo.
It means we are very close to approach compromise.
Though he was vague on a crucial issue, would the troops be armed, he made it plain Yugoslavia sees Moscow as a go-between.
Russia's the key now, isn't it?
Yes.
With a nod to Russia's role in the crisis, State Department envoy Strobe Talbot met in Moscow with former Prime Minister Viktor Chernomyrdin. But the man at the center of the crisis was giving away nothing. Milosevic at a wreath-laying today remained somber, ceremonial, and silent. Richard Roth, CBS News, Belgrade.
Thousands of refugees poured out of Kosovo today, with more stories of rape, murder, forced evacuations, and scorched earth, they say inflicted by the Serbs. More than 3,500 arrived at the Macedonian border looking for shelter in already overcrowded camps. In neighboring Albania, the latest arrivals were described as physically and emotionally exhausted. CBS's Tom Fenton has one family story from a camp in Albania.
Jethan Zunici is one of the few men from his village still alive. His only home now is tent number 175 in an Italian Red Cross camp. It is a refuge of tears. What happened to the Kosovo village of Bela Cirkva is almost too painful for his family to repeat.
Serb police came within hours after the NATO bombing campaign began. They burned the houses and separated the men from the women. Within an hour, more than 60 men were dead.
They told us to go down to the river, and they started to shoot us. Other men fell on me, and I fell down in the river.
Jethan was shot in the back and lay in the river for 3 hours. He was found by his sister-in-law, Fadayi Zunici, who was looking for her husband and son.
I took him from the bodies, and we turned back, and I said to myself, thank God someone survived.
But her husband and eldest son were dead.
I couldn't recognize them. I couldn't recognize my son. They destroyed his body. I recognized him by the clothes. They destroyed his face. My son was on top of his father's body.
Her other son, Liridon, is all she has left. He keeps the only mementos of his father in a small plastic bag. 2 photos, a pair of eyeglasses, and 2 watches. His father taught English in the village school.
We are Albanians. That's why they did this to us.
Anyone who doubts that the liquidation of the Albanian population was not well planned in advance of the NATO bombing campaign should listen to the story we heard in Tent 175. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Kukës, Albania.
President Clinton today officially authorized the Defense Department to mobilize 33,000 reserves for the Balkan War. They'll come from all branches of the military. First to be called will be 2,000 airmen to support refueling operations in Europe. Straight ahead now on CBS, the Supreme Court takes up a landmark case on disability and the workplace.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
No, this isn't a jeans commercial. It's about constipation. You're bloated, not yourself. Your size 10s feel like 2s.
FiberCon has natural fiber action to relieve bloating constipation.
I'm myself again.
FiberCon, be regular, be yourself.
Wow. Even the donut holes cost over $1.
Honey, nothing good costs under $1 nowadays.
How about a 20-minute call to anywhere in America?
That's crazy.
He's right. Dial 10-10-220 and all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents. Just 10 cents a minute after that, man.
Is it really that cheap?
Oh, yeah. Try it. You'll see.
Sure, cutie. Why not?
Step away from the pastry.
What?
That's the last declare, sir.
Oh.
Dial 10-10-220. It's April. Can showers be very far behind? Remember to protect your deck with Thompson's Wood Protector. Rain, sun, mildew. Nothing we make works harder, longer, so nothing can rain on your parade. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
Tonight at 6, a Metro Middle School is locked down amid rumors of possible violence. I'm Scott Couch, and we'll have the story tonight at 6.
The overall bad news about the link between obesity and death may have at least one slightly silver lining. A study of 6,000 people in tomorrow's Journal of the AMA indicates the risk of obesity-related death actually declines with age. Bottom line, obesity is dangerous, but not quite as dangerous for the elderly as it is for young adults and the middle-aged. On another important health front, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today in a case that's expected to have a major impact on which disabilities are covered by the law against job discrimination. As CBS's Jim Stewart reports, the outcome could affect millions of Americans, ranging from those who need glasses to those who take high blood pressure medicine.
Truck mechanic Vaughn Murphy has suffered from high blood pressure virtually his entire life. And when he accepted a job fixing and driving UPS trucks, he figured he'd go right on taking the medication he'd taken most of his life to control the illness. But when UPS discovered his blood pressure readings, they saw it differently.
They thought I'd have a heart attack, and die. And they'd be responsible. They'd be liable. I might take somebody with me. That was what their fear was.
UPS fired Murphy. He responded by suing under the Americans with Disabilities Act, one of 3 suits now before the Supreme Court asking the question, what is a disability? If high blood pressure is included, how about diabetes or even bad eyesight? A case involving United Airlines and 2 nearsighted pilots will be heard tomorrow. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce argues, and some justices seem to agree, that the courts could be overwhelmed with claims of disability.
It will mean a vast increase in the amount of litigation under this statute. It's very costly, and then the bottom line is it will result in lesser protection for those with true disabilities.
The Disabilities Act is most familiar as the law that removed physical barriers, but Vaughn Murphy's lawyers argue that now is the time to expand its role in the workplace.
And the point was to give people a chance to work if they can, to make them self-sufficient, to eliminate stereotypes and myths about the disabled and what they can or cannot do.
The problem for the High Court is one of definition.
Is a disability still a disability if it's a problem that can be kept in check, say by something as simple as blood pressure medication or even a pair of corrective eyeglasses? Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
Trumpeter Al Hirt died today at home in New Orleans. Among his honors in a 50-year musical career, 4 gold records and a Grammy Award. Sugar Lips Al Hirt was 76.
To the 1% of you who demand more from a truck, we offer this response. The all-new GMC Sierra. Totally redesigned with the first available automatic 4-wheel drive on a pickup and our largest cab ever. 1%ers, your wait is over. Right now, it's even easier to experience the pickup with the first available automatic 4-wheel drive in its class. The National Sierra Invitation Days, going on now.
Shaking up healthy cooking with Mrs. Dash.
Today, we're cooking with skinless, boneless chicken breasts. Sure, they're fast and healthy, but they need help. Like Mrs. Dash, garlic and herb. Hey, don't they look better already? Just saute with a bit of olive oil. You can be generous with Mrs. Dash. It's 100% natural herbs and spices. There's no salt or MSG, just the good stuff. Make a sauce with lemon juice and a little mustard. That's Mrs. Dash, garlic herb chicken.
Mrs. Dash is shaking up healthy cooking. All for more recipes.
Quick Dissolve Maalox contains calcium.
Get more calcium than regular Tums with new Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewable Antacid.
The calcium is an added plus, definitely.
And it dissolves faster than Tums.
I can't improve on that.
Quick Dissolve your heartburn away and get more calcium.
If you have arthritis pain that lasts all day, presenting Tylenol Arthritis Extended Relief. It lasts up to twice as long as regular aspirin without irritating your stomach. Tylenol Arthritis. Take comfort in our strength.
My joints felt locked up. My hands. My knees were stiff. And then I tried OsteoBiflex. It's a natural supplement with a special blend of glucosamine and chondroitin. It's different from pain relievers.
OsteoBiflex actually repairs cartilage and lubricates joints over time.
OsteoBiflex helped renew my life. It works for me.
There's only one OsteoBiflex. Repair, rebuild, renew.
Wednesday on 60 Minutes 2. Why would a teenager go on a shooting spree at school?
People picking on me.
He should know that's what he did Wednesday.
The FBI began a nationwide crackdown today on automobile theft. More than 200 people were arrested in 22 cities. Half the arrests were in the San Antonio area. This crackdown is aimed at small, organized rings that steal cars to order for chopping into parts or shipping quickly overseas. Congratulations are in order. Americans in every state have won the latest battle against inflation. A report out today says per capita income climbed 4.4% last year, far outpacing inflation. That means buying power grew 3.6%. And more Americans are using their buying power to buy houses. America's realtors say previously owned homes were selling last month at a record high pace. Also setting records, the Dow Blue Chips up 113 points today to close above 10,800. But the NASDAQ took a hit as investors dumped technology stocks.
For those smokers who are ready to quit, Nicorette introduces a breath of fresh air. New mint-flavored Nicorette gum. The same craving-fighting power of Nicorette and the flavor of mint. Nicorette helps you control your cravings so you can break free from smoking. And now you can choose your flavor. Now isn't that a breath of fresh air?
Nicorette helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Next time, call a Roto-Rooter plumber. When we make an appointment, we keep it.
Feeling down? Overwhelmed? Now, to help you lift your spirits and look on the bright side naturally, is Quanterra Emotional Balance. I used to think all St. John's worts were alike, but they're not. The extract in Quanterra was clinically proven effective by doctors. And research suggests it regulates neurotransmitters affecting emotional wellness. New Quantera Emotional Balance. There is light at the end of the tunnel. If it's not clinically proven, it's not Quantera.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, finding a place to stay doesn't take a federal investigation. Days Inn. There you go.
I see we're getting quite a jump on this.
Has just made like a sort of a recent move in the last 3 minutes.
How's your day going?
How
are the pharmaceutical stocks doing? First thing on the docket is to get as much information as I can.
Yeah, let me check it.
Average daily volume being 27,000, so it looks like we're on track. So I can provide our clients with the best detailed information possible.
We're going to help them with all the research and all the information that we have here.
There's some regulatory legislation going adverse effect on their stock.
Chart looks good.
Checking with you next week.
Sounds great. Nice talking to you. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, too.
Thanks.
Britain's Scotland Yard tonight is looking for a well-dressed man carrying a mobile phone and possibly wearing glasses. That's the description of a gunman who killed one of Britain's best-known television personalities. While it appears to be a hitman kind of assassination, the motive is a complete mystery. CBS's Mark Phillips in London has the story.
Once again, flowers being laid in remembrance. Once again, a nation shocked by the death of an English rose before her time.
I heard the scream. You heard a scream? I did hear a scream.
There's one story this morning, the dramatic end of the...
Jill Dando, a TV personality loved by her audience as much as by the camera, had become a cultural icon here, anchoring the news, appearing on a popular travel show, helping bring criminals to justice on another program dramatizing unsolved crimes. But now, after years of reading the news, she had become it, murdered on her doorstep.
She received one shot to the head at very close range. I can say that the weapon used was a 9mm semi-automatic firearm.
The kind of weapon and the kind of killing that pointed perhaps to a professional hit.
In this country, something like a Beretta, like this one, is very difficult to get hold of. In the United States, this Smith & Wesson cost just $500.
This murder is not just a personal, even a national tragedy, it's also become a great mystery. In the absence of any known suspect or motive, it's become something of a countrywide whodunit. Everybody seems to have a theory, from personal grudge to international conspiracy. Could someone fingered on the crime show have gotten even? Or even more sinister, could her recent promotion of a charity for Kosovo refugees have led to retaliation? Tonight, in a bizarre twist, Serb TV in Belgrade ran an obituary to Dando, saying her death was similar to the workers killed when NATO bombed the TV studio there. For now, Jill Dando is dead. The police have only a small lead of a man spotted lingering on her street, and lots of theories. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
And that's part of our world tonight. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
Every story is a local story. An economic change in Asia or a medical discovery in Europe could change your life forever. Finding the connections takes experience. Making them clear is what we do, because our job is to make sure that every story hits home.
The CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Experience you can trust.
Experience you can trust. CBS News.
The school attack in Colorado sparks a rash of copycats across the country.
Even here at home, it's hard to distinguish real from rumor. Tonight, one Tennessee school responds with strict measures.
Do the right thing! Tax justice now!
People rally at the state capitol to support a state income tax just as lawmakers focus on the alternative, serious budget cuts.
A new diet drug with FDA approval will be in Nashville this week, and calls about it are already pouring into local clinics. The news begins in 30 seconds.